Welcome back to WandaVision Mondays, and this is a review of the 4th episode, We Interrupt This Program. And this is actually a very appropriate title, as this episode takes us away from the sitcom reality we've seen in the last 3 episodes, and puts us in the real world, and finally answers some of the questions we were wondering for the last 3 episodes. I really enjoyed the opening to this episode when Monica was brought back to life after, Hulk snapped everyone back into existence. And we get to see how chaotic it really was in this hospital, as people are just now coming back and they're just frantically figuring out what is going on. And you can really see how we get a little bit more of how, for the people who were snapped away, for them, this was just, just a 20 minutes gone by. They were only out for a few seconds. So it's very interesting to see a little bit more of that, and I really enjoyed the effect of how, their particles was kind of just being brought back. It's very interesting. That Monica Rambeau works with S.W.O.R.D. And we get to see that how much has changed since she's been snapped away. Assigned to an investigation with Agent Wu, which we see in Ant-Man and the Wasp, as there's something not quite right going on in this town where he has a missing informant. And the cops think it's Eastview, not Westview, so definitely you can see something's not quite right. Soon, Monica is sucked into this town, and then a full-scale investigation launches. We also get to see another character we haven't seen in a while, which is Darcy Lewis, which we see in the Thor movies, and she discovers a broadcast signal, which soon discovers that there's a sitcom based on 2 Avengers, which is one of my favorite scenes in this episode. So yeah, overall, this was a pretty decent episode. It answers a lot of questions that we were starting to wonder in the last 3 episodes. Much like, well, we now know it's definitely S.W.O.R.D. We all knew that was S.W.O.R.D. watching this broadcast. We get to see a little bit more about the beekeeper and that helicopter drone that we saw in episode 2. And we get to kind of see how, and the radio signal. We kind of also find it very interesting. I found it really interesting how they change when they enter it. Like, you see this full-scale drone helicopter, but when it enters the town, it's more like a toy helicopter. And the beekeeper, well, he was just this normal suited-up S.W.O.R.D. agent, but now this changed. It's kind of interesting to see how the town and what's going on in there kind of affects people. One part of this episode opens up even more questions, like how powerful is Wanda? As we see when Monica wakes up, she says it's all Wanda. So I'm really fascinated to see how much power Wanda has in this town, and how did she get here. That's what I'm really excited to see. And Dead Vision. That was a terrifying scene. That came out of nowhere. And boy, that raises some questions too. So I liked how this episode kind of answers a few questions, but also opens up a lot more questions. And I cannot wait to see where this goes in the next few weeks. I will also say that Agent Wu and Darcy Lewis were great additions to the show. And I really kind of liked how they're just they're trying to figure out who these people in this town. And I like how they refer, these people are now cast. Favorite scenes though is in the Snyder episode is we get to see that moment when Wanda confronts Monica Rambeau and kicks her out of the town. We get to see how much destruction that causes when she's just kind of pushing her through that house, but then she can rebuild it. But I really found it interesting how for us last week, she just confronted her, and then Vision comes in and she's gone. And we also see that is in the real world, that the sitcom, it basically kind of fizzes out and skips that part. So even in the real world, like we do, they didn't really know what happened last week, which I found was really clever. But we get to see what really happened in that scene, which was a really cool scene. But yeah, overall episode 4, We Interrupt This Program, was a great addition to the show. I felt it was really a needed kind of pause to answer some of these questions, but also opens up the door to so many more questions. And I'm really, really excited to see where the show heads to in the next 5 episodes. So that's my thoughts on episode 4 of WandaVision. Tell me your guys' thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone.